Flagged, stolen, and still not silenced. How a stolen journal and Facebook jail teamed up to remind me who actually owns my voice. I have no words. I practiced really hard for my very first solo driving trip away from home when I was a teenager. I'd received an old Volkswagen Rabbit, a 4-speed with a sticky clutch, and mastering the mechanics of driving this car was my ticket to freedom. I spent long summer afternoons stalling up and down my father's gently sloping driveway. My mother stopped by to offer encouragement and ride shotgun as I crept into the unpredictable rural highway to attempt a loop that passed sunburnt cornfields and the barn where I kept my horse. The area where I grew up was, and still is, filled with ghost stories and warnings. My father's younger brother, my baby uncle, died in front of their house, on the same land as our house, when he pulled away from my great-grandfather to run across the street. A neighbor in the same era passed away a short walk from that spot. Whether by their own hand or by accident, the fragile lives and deaths of humans were a continual narrative that was pressed into my early warning system. I wanted nothing more than to drive away from that place. At last, I graduated from my father's driving expectations and pressed a cassette tape into the Volkswagen's unpredictable stereo before following the speed limit into town for a sleepover. At my friend's house in the middle of the night, someone broke into my freshly launched vehicle and stole my backpack. Inside that bag was a black 3-ring binder that had served as my journal for the past year as a creative writing student at the local art school. It felt like someone had stolen my life. Who was I without my trappings and consistencies? Who was I without my words? My words found me. I've kept journals since I learned how to write, but I never look back at them. The journals are containers, a collection of mason jars, used once and then retired from canning. Art cooked under pressure cracks the glass. The purpose is served. The sentence is sealed. Still, I worried about that journal. I wondered where it had gone. My stories have always been free for the taking, so I didn't fret about someone reading the pages. I simply wanted to know where the notebook had disappeared to. The school year passed, winter came and went, and that spring, someone in my friend's neighborhood was clearing debris from their bushes and uncovered my notebook, pages damp from rain and yellowed from the mulch. My words were intact, and I still have that notebook today. It's followed me from my move to farm to the old farmhouse where I now live, our forever farm, the one that caught our landing. As I packed boxes of journals for this move, I wrote funny warnings on the cardboard. Journals, I said, guard with your life, burn upon my death. But I didn't really mean it. They're just pages. The work has been done, the pressure cooker released, and all those pages of my life scribbled in notebooks are still in the garage of the new farmhouse under a ceiling that peels in the humidity. They're still in their boxes, stored but not vital, no need to unpack. They've served their purpose, penciling my intentions into the world. Fetching a sip of Coke. My sister being Tamar Reno lives farther away from me now that I've moved farms. She and I have individually seen a lot of life and loss this past year. What went from monthly visits over coffee has turned into single sentences in Messenger and Facebook comments. We miss each other a lot. Caught up with farm admin and tending to and getting my Substack essay ready for the week, I stole some time to comment on her recent Facebook post. Each word felt like a little gift I could ferry to her over the miles, a little boop on the nose that said, "I see you." I delight in bantering with her. She's a pretty remarkable banterer, and she has this Irish wit that just erupts. I have to try really hard to keep up with her. Whenever we visit in person, we share Cokes and snacks. Commenting on her post, I typed, "You're so fetching. I'm going to have a sip of Coke now." We were bantering over the word fetching as it applied to our Siberian cats and Tamar's new choice of fireplace color. Then I went about my business. Moments later, Facebook flagged me for a content violation. My comment went against their community standards by encouraging, as they said, people to buy, sell, promote, and exchange illegal drugs. I filed an immediate appeal. It was rejected. The farm doesn't make much money from monetization on Facebook, but every tiny bit helps, and it feels good knowing my words and images can give back pennies to the dollar in support of the horses. The day this happened, I was finalizing images to purchase ads for our Black Friday camp and rooted gatherings for women, but I suddenly lost all access. I couldn't purchase ads, our reach was limited, and I could no longer host live videos. I spent hours on the Meta chat lines waiting for humans. I paid to be Meta verified so I'm able to contact an actual human, which is more than most people are able to do when experiencing problems with the platform, but the only solution was to hand me over to an invisible team of specialists who would be in touch in a few days to a few weeks to see if my problem could be resolved. My initial appeal was rejected. My capitalized sip of name brand soft drink known all over the world was found to be code for my illicit drug use. A week later, I'm still waiting for their final decision. My morning of rejection was followed by learning our proposal to Airbnb to host experiences was not good enough, and that my father, who is bedbound and lives with me, was being discharged from hospice because he's not declining fast enough. My mother always says, "I don't like rejection enough to stand in line for it." This has been the most Mercury of all Mercury retrogrades. Fear trickled through my veins like ice water. I became frozen with it, unable to do anything except sit and ponder and ruminate. I'm learning to see that this moment of inaction is a gateway, a gathering point of internal power. With all that energy coursing through me, I can allow it to fester and eat me alive, or I can turn it into action. In truth, I allowed it to do a little bit of both, but I'm getting better at noticing the difference. Reclaiming our power. We are conductors of currents, living, breathing antennas attuned to our environment and our feelings. This is both a blessing and a curse. We're organic noticers who must turn off our gifts in order to function in a world that isn't designed for using what is rightfully ours. Our intuition, our curiosity, our strength. In fact, it's trained out of us at a very early age when we learn to sit still in our chairs and memorize the alphabet. As I work with clients in the fields with the horses, clear thoughts ring in me like a bell. My theme this month has been asking clients to imagine what it would feel like to know that they have permission to take up space, to be here, to feel worthy and valid and entitled to receive. What if accepting what is boils down to accepting who we are? What are we capable of being if we just give ourselves permission to launch? After I panicked for 24 hours about losing Facebook privileges, I stood in the gelding's field and I marveled at the green grass still growing in November, the way it merged and flowed beneath my feet, textures changing like surf. Amber waves of grain. My Turkish ex-husband and I were professional arguers when we lived in the same house. One epic fight focused on the concept of free speech. I had grown up with it being a birthright in America. He grew up with speech being monitored to keep opposition controlled. He felt that language unchecked was dangerous. He also fully believes in the freedom to be his own person, so there is that. Two things can be true at once, and most days we live in the stretch between the truths. Losing my words at 16 and losing my platform last week were not the same loss, but they echoed each other. Both events pushed me to own the uncomfortable knowledge that my voice isn't guaranteed a container in a notebook or a social media company, systems built on rules that I can't see, which means the only place my voice can truly live is inside of me. It's easy to forget that we are built for reclamation. Power isn't the ability to control an outcome. It's the ability to keep moving forward when the outcome isn't what you wanted. Your power lies in the space between panic and response. It's the choice to root down instead of scatter. It's the willingness to say, I am still here. I am still mine. I don't have to begin again because I am always starting. The world will keep misunderstanding us. Systems will keep misfiring. Someone will always be clearing brush in their yard and uncovering an old version of us, damp, weathered, and yellowed. And yet our truest parts endure. They don't dissolve in the rain. They don't disappear because an algorithm flags us or a gate closes or a plan falls through. They travel with us even when we've forgotten how to look for them. Reclaiming our power is nothing more than returning to that truth, returning to the part of us that works steadily behind the scenes, returning to the part of us that knows how to navigate by instinct and curiosity, the way the horses do, returning to the part of us that still believes in motion after or in spite of fear. It's not a triumphant act. It feels very small as you claim it. All you have to do is realize that the field between right and wrong, loss and recovery, silence and voice, has been inside you this whole time. You just have to step back into it. What am I doing while I'm in Facebook jail? I'm stepping back to the place that has held my work for a very long time. Substack is my home base, the one corner of the internet where I can write without restriction or algorithms. And instead of leaning on social media, I'm choosing to grow my presence here. Help me broaden my reach by subscribing, sharing, gifting, and spreading the word. Free subscriptions are for anyone who wants to read or listen along and help my work travel farther. Your reading, your sharing, and your presence here widen my circle in the biggest ways. And now, until the end of the year, you can receive 20% off an annual paid subscription if you click the link that you'll find in the show notes. Paid subscriptions are for those who want to go deeper and support the work in a tangible way. Paid subscribers receive full access to my library of guided visualizations and audio sessions, all downloadable workbooks, a monthly live Zoom where I bring the wisdom of the horses to you wherever you are in the world, and occasional behind-the-scenes updates from Lavender Hill as I settle down and get rooted into the new farm. Founding members are the next tier up in a paid subscription, and those are for people who want to give more to the farm and to my work. Founding members receive everything above plus 4 private coaching calls to use anytime in 2026. These sessions give you the chance to explore your own story with depth and clarity, shaped by the same principles I use here on the farm. Both paid tiers directly support the farm and the work I do here every day, helping me keep these horses cared for, keep the land open to the community, and continuing to offer access to people who might never otherwise experience the grounding presence of a horse, or for those who are finding their way back after years away. And you can gift subscriptions to Stable Roots, like a gift basket for your soul. These subscriptions are a way to offer reflection, creativity, and a place to connect for the hard-to-buy-for people on your lists. Field notes. If you're local to the Greenville, South Carolina area, I would love for you to join me in December for my Rooted Gatherings for Women. But if you are not able to join me in person, our November Zoom gathering for paid subscribers will be the next best thing. I'll send links out this coming Monday, and we're going to meet up on Tuesday of next week. I've taken a break from our monthly gatherings with all the insanity of last year, but my farm has come home, and I'm settled and excited to be back in your virtual company. So much of reclaiming our power comes down to remembering what is true when everything else goes sideways, when notebooks vanish, when algorithms shut a door, when life tilts in a direction you didn't choose. What remains is the part of you that keeps writing even when the pages go missing. Power isn't loud and it isn't theatrical. Power is returning to yourself time and time again until you recognize that nothing essential has ever been taken from you. It's been here the whole time, waiting for you to claim it. Love, Kim.